Welcome to our continuing series on the Yoga Sutras. For this group of videos, like I mentioned previously, what I have found is that there is such a correlation between the Yoga Sutras and the clinical trials landscape. And this has been the case in my own life. But before starting, I'm Tengu, and I am with the Tribal Clinical, and my passion is promoting diversity in clinical trials. Let's dive directly into the topics for today. Today, I want to talk about the concept of the Kleshas. And the Kleshas are 5 impediments that stop us from being successful in our lives. In the Yoga Sutra, the first one is avidya, which is ignorance. Secondly, we have asmita, which is ego. And then we have raga, which is attachment. And then the next one is vesa, which is aversion or pushing things away. And then the last one is abhinivesha, clinging to life or the fear of death. What I love about these concepts of the Kleshas is that I have really seen it permeate so many aspects of not just the work I do in clinical trials in terms of operations or in terms of diversity, but that it really is something that is an intrinsic part of my life. It's like the little threads that woven together form a lot of the things that drive my life. The concept of avidya, which is ignorance, is the first one. And there is a concept in the Yoga Sutras regarding the Kleshas, which is Setram. Setram is the field from which everything arises. Avidya is a Setram from which all the other 4 Kleshas arise from. And because ignorance rules everything, if I'm ignorant, then obviously that will affect my ego, my attachment to things in the world, my clinging to life, or the tendency for me to push away things. And I want to explain what I mean here by avidya. It's a very vast concept of ignorance. It is the ultimate ignorance that I see myself smaller than who I really am. And I see myself as a bag of bones, muscles, and tissues just moving around when there is a wider aspect of who I am. Of course, we all say this. I know that I'm a spirit, if that's what you believe in, or even if you don't believe in your spirit, or that there is more to me than this being that is moving around in the world. For example, I think I cannot touch my thoughts. Obviously, there must be a wider concept of myself. And this is the ultimate ignorance. See it like you are running through a savanna on a beautiful safari journey. And in the little rivers, there is a crocodile just lurking underneath. The waters look calm and you're very comfortable and excited to cross. But lo and behold, underneath there, the jaws of the crocodile are just waiting to entrap you. Now, I'm not here to frighten you or scare you, but that's the degree of the ignorance that we have in life. And this really stops us from doing the wonderful things that we are created to do. In clinical trials, there's even more to it. So Sethram, we would say, is much like the savannah where the crocodile is actually lurking, right? The field of clinical trials, however you want to call it, whether it's the products that are coming to the market or it's the preclinical products, whatever they are, that's a field from which we're building things that are going to transform the lives of human beings. But if the field has issues where we are creating clinical trials and yet they are only reserved for certain aspects of the population, then you do understand where this leads to, right? So when Sethram is corrupted, when we spend our lives focused on that type of ignorance and we do not take the time, whether as an individual, I'm not taking the time to see the grander aspects of myself, or I, as someone in the clinical trials industry, is not tapping into the vast resources on this planet, the different types of population, and really allowing for the products to come to the market that affect the lives of every kind of being, then we now have a limited aspect of what is possible for us. See avidya in this case as not just the ignorance of the self, the ignorance of the vastness of my being, but in the context of clinical trials, the ignorance of what is possible. This is my first video in this series. It's going to be an interesting one. And I'm actually learning myself as I go along, because there's something about looking at ignorance just in one way. But then when I really start looking at the concept of avidya within clinical trials, so much has come up that it's just incredible. But what I want you to understand and really think about here is that health rules everything on this planet. For us to get to a state of oneness and equity, then we have to ensure that we do not leave anyone behind. As we journey forward, I want you to look at this intricate landscape of clinical trials and how these concepts that I'm going to be discussing here on this channel, how they weave into that landscape. Many of the things that I talk about are not new, but we have to look at life through the prism of different things. And I've found that these Yoga Sutras have really transformed the way that I am in the clinical trials industry, just in terms of diversity. Because if we are living in a world where we're constantly seeing things just through one prism, through one narrative, through one perception, then again, we become ignorant to the possibility of the things outside of those perceptions and prisms. As we close this episode, I would like to say that I appreciate those of you who are watching these videos. I thank you for your comments. Make sure to let me know what you think. It's going to be a very enriching series, and I hope that you enjoy this video as much as I have enjoyed creating it. And we're going to continue on these topics through the end of the year. But if you have any comments, please add them or contact me. We do have a free community. All the links are below. And I look forward to this journey with you. And I hope that it changes the prism through which you're seeing your life and diversity in clinical trials.